Welcome to the Overlady Reads, the show where I, the Overlord, have a wife, the Overlady, and she reads. Although technically also this week, I also reads. I'm Ben, this is Lucy, and this is part 2 of our Rhythm of War kind of... We're kind of just giving our thoughts as we're going through it.
Yeah.
You know, just like reactions, like what we think, some theories we've got, and just having a grand old time, really.
Mm-hmm.
We did... part 1 last week, so you can find that in the description. These videos are going to be slightly less recappy than our last ones. They're still going to be pretty recappy, but not as recappy as they were previously. And yeah, I've read a little bit into part 3. You've barely...
I finished the interludes for part 2 this morning.
Yeah, so we are giving our theories, like fresh theories. There's no spoilers for after part 2 here. We're giving kind of our fresh theories as we have them.
And we're just going to slowly find out how wrong we are.
Yeah, how wrong we are. Oh,
and it's all good.
It's all good. What was the one final thing I wanted to say?
Laugh along with us.
Yes. Unlike other videos where we did the part, then the interludes, then the part, then the interludes, now we're doing interludes, then the part, because we didn't have the interludes last week because we didn't have the book. But now we have the book, and hopefully you have the book. Hope you're enjoying the book. It's a good book. Cool. So, Lucy, the first interlude was Syl. Would you like to take us away?
So the first interlude of, the end of part 1 was a Syl interlude.
Yeah.
And it's the first time that we've had a Spren point of view.
I think so, yeah. Like, we never get to see Spren, so yeah.
Yeah, it was really nice. Kaladin's being sad.
As per usual.
And Syl is trying to work out what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
And she is quite disturbed because normally, like, when she does silly things to cheer him up, it works.
Yeah.
And it stopped working.
Yeah.
And she can't understand him. And she's trying to find a way to understand him.
Yeah.
So she goes to talk to Dalinar because the Stormfather wouldn't help.
Yes. And
she asks Dalinar if he can change her emotions so that she can feel the way that Kaladin feels.
Yeah.
And he's like, I probably could, but that's not advisable.
Yeah. He's like, I could, but I probably shouldn't.
Yeah. And she's like, I just want to know how to help him. And he's like, well, why don't you talk to him? That thing that none of us have been able to do for the past 3 books.
Yeah.
Because none of us talk about any of our issues until it's too late. Why don't we change that?
Yeah, why didn't someone actually talk to someone about their feelings for once? Mad.
I know, the dangers of it.
Yeah.
So that's her interlude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we get a nice little mention of her previous reading. I want to say Relador.
I can't remember.
I've written Relador, but I have terrible handwriting, so I don't know if it's Relador.
It's probably
probably
Renarin. Let's go for Renarin.
It's not that name. So it's not the same character, just got the same name. So,
I'm sure it's a good Alethi name that's been used for centuries.
Maybe
it's not, because Dalinar was furious when he heard the name Renarin because he's like, what kind of rubbish is this?
Why have you butchered my son's name?
Yes, it's clearly not a good Alethi name.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Next interlude for me was bonkers, because the next interlude was Ciana. Like, if you got excited for getting a Syl interlude, getting an unmade interlude, like, as the next one, you didn't really care for it, did you? I
liked it.
Yeah.
I just really preferred Syl's.
I thought, I couldn't believe that we got an unmade interlude, an unmade point of view. It was, oh man. Okay, so she's faffing about in the Kholinar Palace. She exists between realms, which is, you don't care about Cosmere stuff, but that's really weird.
I do care about Cosmere stuff. I just find it
the realmatics of the Cosmere stuff. Yeah, and so that's really weird. But then so she sends a spren to Urithiru to see if it can help out, secretly, and then sends, two obvious...
To check out Mraize and see whether she wants him as part of her team or not.
Yeah, I think later on there's a statement made about Shallan or was it part 1 where they talk about Shallan mentions that she's been in contact with Ciana and they made an agreement for her to send some spren to go bond Mraize.
I think Mraize says
Maybe
that.
Mraize said it, yeah. So she sends 1 on the down low and then 2 obvious spren because she's like, Odium doesn't like what I'm doing and he's going to try and kill any spren that I send to not doing his will. So yeah, she sends 2 other children off to go die. And she does seem legitimately upset by this. So, like, yeah.
Obviously.
I find Ciana an interesting character. But then the real interesting part of this interlude is she then mentions how Odium seems to have, like, the power. His power is, like, leaking out of him. And it's, like, shining through his skin as if there's, like, they're in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
And she says there must be a weakness here that can be used. And I'm like, how interesting.
Well, it's obviously the vessel
Mraize. Yeah.
To him, the shard is passion.
Yeah.
That's what he believes the shard is. I think he genuinely believes his shard is a passion shard.
Yeah.
The shard is not passion.
No.
The shard is like anger.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to force it to be something it's not.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's sort of like a battle of wills, like who is stronger, Mraize or the shard?
Yes.
Because, like, there is definitely a conflict between the vessel and the shard.
That's what I'm reading into this as well, yeah.
Someone like 80
was
he was a good person.
He was a kind before, and, like, yeah.
Before he took up the shard of Ruin. So he would have spent years trying to bend the shard to his will.
Yeah.
And eventually he would have given in, realising that he couldn't do that. I think that Odium is still having that battle with his shard.
Yeah.
I think he is still very much trying to convince it to be something it's not. And he is too stubborn to give up.
Yes.
Whereas the others clearly weren't.
Yeah, when it comes to 80 and Ruin, the way I've always interpreted, there's a wob out there that said he kind of fought it for thousands of years and eventually did come out of it with something closer to entropy, which is kind of the natural decay of the universe.
Yeah.
And it was almost like 80 tried to turn it into something, and 80 kind of successfully instead of being just destruction and ruin, he kind of diverted it like that. Like a slight diversion, but it sounds like Mraize wants the shard to be very, very different to what it actually is.
Yeah,
like it seems to be hatred and and he wants it. There's that scene where does Dalinar look into his eyes and sees he sees the passion, but at the core of it he sees the hatred below it all. I think that was Dalinar.
I can't remember.
This was Oathbringer. This is back in Oathbringer, and I think we kind of always thought of it. I'm like, almost at this point, I'm kind of like, is that outer layer of passion, is that all Mraize? And that core is the shard being like, no, I am hatred. Stop dressing me up as passion. I am hatred. Yeah. Yeah. And
very much.
Yeah, that's how I'm seeing this as well. And that definitely sounds like a weakness that can be exploited. Yeah. Like, there is something there. Like, yeah. Looking forward to seeing where that's going. And the final interlude is Taravangian and... You didn't like this one at all, so I'm doing this one.
I just want him to disappear already.
Yeah.
He's not like Moash.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy and he's good at it, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just find his parts boring.
He's just kind of done now. That's what this chapter is. This is him being done. He's said goodbye to the diagram.
My thoughts about Taravangian are like my thoughts about Dalinar, where he's a good character. I just find the sections of the book where it's his sections really boring and hard to get through. Okay. So, if he could just stop, that would be great.
That's fair. This chapter is him just saying goodbye to the diagram, both the organization and, also the actual diagram book, because he throws it to a fire, similar to the end of Emperor's Soul. Yeah. Where he ends it by just burning the diagram, and he gives his people he cares about plausible deniability, and that's the Taravangian, and the diagram is gone. We've not got the Sons of Honor anymore. We've not got the diagram anymore. Brandon is killing off these secret organizations one by one.
We still got Sons of Honor.
Oh, now that Eli's gone, I see.
I know that
Yeah.
She's now gone. I'm expecting her to have just been a figurehead. I'm expecting there to still be like this big organisation out there working behind the scenes, and they'll stumble across it eventually, and it's like thousands of people.
Okay.
That's what I'm expecting.
Fair enough. I know we definitely still have the leader still left, and I can never remember if the leader is Thydakar or Risteres, but whichever one it is, we know in this book that like Shallan's actual quest is to go find that leader. So we know the Sons of Honor will come back. You know, it'd be really horrible if like, oh my god, it just occurred to me that the Honor Spren city they're going to could literally be the Sons of Honor city. Like, yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, damn.
Good job.
Cool. Right.
However,
yeah.
It also wouldn't surprise me if all of the organisations are actually one organisation. They haven't realised it.
Like a Hydra kind of situation where it's all one thing in many heads of one.
It's one idea.
Yeah.
And like a couple of people have like branched off of it and made their own little organisation.
Do you know what it's all just Hoyd. It's just all just Hoyd. It's like
Do you know what? He's at the centre.
He's at the centre. Everything's around Hoyd. Cool. So interludes are done. So before we talk about the actual chapters, we're going to talk about those epigraphs, because oh my god, the epigraphs. Because the new epigraphs. This is a letter from Sazed to Hoyd.
Yes. In response to the letter that Hoyd sent him in the first book.
No, I don't think we saw the letter that Hoyd sent to Sazed.
I'm pretty sure that the first letter, like the first book's letter, I think that was lots of segments of different letters.
Maybe.
Because there was one part where I was like, I'm sure that has to be Sazed that he's sending that letter to. And you were like, just keep reading.
I was going to say, so I'm pretty sure we know for a fact that the Way of King's letter was to Frost, the dragon.
Yeah.
Then the Words of Radiance was Frost back to Hoyd. And then in between that time, Hoyd then sends letters to Sazed and like a bunch of shards. And at Oathbringer, we get the 3 replies from Sazed, Endowment, and Autonomy.
Yeah.
And what?
I like to think that Autonomy is just letting the letter write itself.
I mean, that's kinda. And then, so this one seems to be, it seems Hoyd then replied to Sazed letter, and then this is then Sazed replying again.
I'm expecting Whimsy's response to just be a balloon.
Oh my god. So, in this letter, we get 4 new shard names.
Yes.
We get
Whimsy!
We get Valor.
Whimsy!
Invention.
Whimsy!
And Mercy.
Whimsy!
You love Whimsy, don't you?
Right. So, in my head, like, Whimsy sounds like it would be, like, some lovely, happy, like, fun shard to be.
Yes.
I think it's the most dangerous of all.
Yep.
I think that's the one that, like, sometimes pairs up with Odium. Because Odium's like, I want to take over this planet, but I could do with another shard. And he's like, Whimsy? And Whimsy's like, yeah, that sounds whimsical.
Yeah.
And Whimsy, like, turns up and he's like, I'm going to make it rain fire because that would be funny. Or, you know, do you know what would be funny? If everyone's hands were now replaced with, like, spaghetti. You know, like, I feel like Whimsy, like, is the sort of planet where you'd walk out of your house and not know what the world's going to look like. Absolutely,
because the crazy thing is that all the shards are limited by their mandates.
Yeah.
And when your mandate is to be whimsical and like just do random stuff, does that mean it could be the most powerful shard because it could do anything it wants?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to preserve. It doesn't have to ruin. It can preserve Monday and ruin Tuesday.
No. It can just do what it wants.
Yeah.
Like, it can have a whole planet where it's, like, made of chocolate.
Yeah.
It could decide that, like, I don't know, people are now frogs.
Yeah.
Like, Whimsy can just do whatever it wants. Like, there's no... Like, there's no way
nothing,
to have consistency there.
Yeah.
Because it's whimsical.
It's whimsical. Like, what are you going to do?
And sounds dangerous.
It does.
That sounds terrifying.
But really, really fun.
Oh, I'm so excited for Whimsy.
I really hope Whimsy plays like a big role in Era 4, like Era 4 Mistborn, where it's all space race and stuff.
I genuinely want to meet Whimsy.
Yeah.
I want Whimsy to be like a really, like, you know how there were like the short story collection?
Yeah.
I want one of those where one of the stories is about Whimsy's planet.
Yes.
Because, oh boy, I
excellent.
want to know what happens there.
Yeah.
Because
Whimsy!
Yeah. I mean, I don't care about any of the others. Like, who cares?
I was going to say, there is a Shardcast, and it's either I don't know when Eric's releasing this Shardcast, but we recorded a Shardcast about the Shards. That either came out last week or next week, or maybe even the week after. I don't know. Eric, you do what you need to do to get them Shardcasts out. Cool. One thing I do want to say is I never liked... So Ingenuity was a maybe Shard name for a while. I never liked Ingenuity, and I much prefer Invention. So, yeah. And then Valor and Mercy, we talk about those on the Shardcast. And so go watch that! If you can. If you're in the future.
Or the past.
Or the past. How can they watch it in the past, Lucy?
They go into the cognitive realm.
No, they go into the spiritual realm where all Shardcasts are one.
Yeah.
And they watch the one spiritual perfect Shardcast.
Yeah.
I like it. One other thing of note in the Epigraphs is that Sazed mentions that Hoyd puts a lot of weight onto the vessel. And the whole point of the letter is Sazed saying, don't do that. You should focus more on the shards. Like, it's the shard that's dangerous. I am not holding ruin and preservation. I am ruin and preservation.
Yeah.
Like, you need to... The vessel could change, but the shard's still dangerous.
Yeah.
And because something in the letters is the shards always refer to the other shards by the shard names, but Hoyd always refers to them by the vessel names.
Well, that's because he knew the vessels.
It's because he knew the vessels. And we always thought that was just because he was being, like, personable, because he knew them. That's how he knows them. He knows them as the people. But he's like, if Caesar's like, no, they're not people anymore. They are shards, but you need to take the shard.
Look, he just wants his friends back.
I know. I have a feeling that they weren't all friends, to be quite honest.
It could have been a plucky young group of adventurers that stumbled across these magical glowy stones and they each picked one up.
I cannot wait to find out how this actually all came down, because they could be that.
Yeah.
But it could be like a group of plucky young adventurers and also the villains of them, and they both turned up at the same place at the same time when Adolin died.
Grabbed what they could.
And they just grabbed what they could, and then Hoyd was like...
Hoyd killed Adolin. Do
you reckon so?
Yeah.
Man, you say that way worse than even I say.
Thank you. I've got to butcher one word in this video. No, I 100% think that, because he's always in the right place at the right time, I think he killed him. I think he then had the whole shard, was like, this is too powerful, and like broke it up.
Oh, well, the whole Adonasium.
Yeah.
Adonalsium.
The God shard.
It's not a shard. They're called shards because they're shards of Adonalsium.
Okay.
So when you're holding all of
the
Adonalsium.
Adonalsium.
Don't even look at me for help with pronouncing that word. I am not the one to help.
Well, he took the whole thing and was like, no one man should have all this power. And like divided it up. He was like, he did that like Mean Girls thing where he gets a tiara and he's like, a bit for you, a bit for you. That's what he did.
Now, he was 100%. All like, he was like, what's a king to a god? What's a god to a non-believer? And then he was like, done. Right, we're half an hour in. Should we actually talk about part 2?
No, I think we cut it there.
We're done. Hope you guys enjoyed this.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Follow us on Discord and Patreon and all of that crap. You're welcome.
Before we get into them, just to let you guys know, we've divided these by character, so we're going to do Shallan and Adolin first, and then we're going to do the stuff in the tower after that.
Shadesmar and non-Shadesmar.
Shadesmar and non-Shadesmar. Cool. So, part 2, we start out with meeting the Unseen Court, which is Shallan's name for the Lightweaver organization she's in charge of. They have a slightly different organization to the Windrunners. The Windrunners, you have the Windrunner and the Squires, and that Windrunner is in charge of the Squires. And when they get their spren, they're kind of promoted because now they've got a spren. it seems so the Lightweavers are slightly different because apparently the Cryptics are a lot, lower. They have a lot lower standards for joining people.
The Cryptics are just excited to leave Shadesmar.
They're just excited.
They're like, our people?
They're like, people, we'll join people.
Lie to me.
Yeah.
Give me.
They're like, give me them lies. So yeah, you have the Master Lightweaver, that's Shallan, she's in charge of them all, and then you've got the Agents Lightweavers, who are, the rest of them. So even though they have their own spread, they still look up to her as the person in charge. Which is hilarious because do you remember in Words of Radiance when Dalinar was like, Shallan, do you want to be in charge of the Knights Radiant? She was like, no, and now she is in charge of an Order of Knights Radiant, basically.
Yeah, but that's because she's the most skilled one because she's been doing this longer.
Yeah, and she did kind of grow into that role. She earned that role, I'd say. I mean, she kind of. I was going to say she did really good in Konar, but she really didn't, did she? Anyway,
she made disguises.
We meet a couple of new Lightweavers, Beryl, Stargyle, who is Steve Argyle's Ingwell persona.
Cute.
Yeah.
I hope he dies. No, I like him.
Can't believe you said this, Lucy. That's not getting cut.
I didn't mean it. I like his artwork.
Yes. Steve, you do great stuff.
You made my Renarin.
Yes. So then she's hunting a spy in her group because she thinks...
It's because somebody killed
Eli. Yeah.
Names are too similar. Someone killed Ilatil. It's because somebody killed Eli that was with them.
Yeah.
At arresting her.
Yes.
So she's suspecting the Lightweavers that she had taken with her on a mission.
Yeah.
And she is quite convinced that one of them is a spy for Mraize and is there to track her movements because Mraize doesn't trust her.
Yep.
Because she still isn't technically
a
working
Ghostblood
for him.
Yeah, she still hasn't got the tattoo, even though she could Lightweaver tattoo onto it any time.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's fine. And then she also receives the box that Mraize says you speak into the box and the box will connect you to me.
Yeah.
And if this isn't a Sion, I would be shocked.
Yeah.
Because initially I thought radio, but then he says specifically it's something to help communicate between realms. And so I'm like, yeah, I think that's a Sion in that box.
I'm right with a Sion box.
Yeah, a little Sion box. It's also because later on it talks, so I probably should save that till we talk later on. But he's fine. You've read part 2.
Well, you should have done. Yeah. If not, what is wrong with you?
I know.
So yeah. So then we cut to Adolin, who is packing for the trip to Shadesmar.
Yes.
He's already packed.
Yeah.
He's just trying to find the perfect outfit for entering Shadesmar in.
And I wonder why. And Shallan's like, why?
Well, Shallan's like, we're not even meeting the star-spren for a month. You don't need to look your best when you go in. It's like that she's waiting for me. Ooh. So he's trying to look his best for Maya, which I think is really, really sweet.
It's adorable.
I mean, he could literally go into Shadesmar and visit her any day he wants.
I mean, yes, I do find this kind of weird that they don't, but I guess they're probably busy.
Well,
he
makes it quite clear that since the Radiants have come, he's not had a purpose.
He's not seen her since, yeah.
And therefore, why wouldn't you just go into Shadesmar and hang out with Maya because you like her?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, he's a high prince now, don't forget.
Yeah, but what?
So that's a really good point.
He's got no lands. He's got a fancy title because Daddy gave it to him. But he doesn't actually own anything. He's not in charge of anything.
Yeah.
And therefore... all he does all day is ride horses and practice sword fighting.
Yeah, and he's got troops. I mean, he can leave and not functionally change anything about running of Urithiru or the military. So apparently he's not that important.
Exactly. So he could have easily gone any day to visit Maya.
Yeah.
But today is special. Apparently.
Today is special. Yeah.
Because he's clearly not seen her in a year.
Yeah.
Even though he could have done. So he is getting ready and he's like, I'm going to need 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Shallan's like, no, you will need an hour. I'll tell everyone else to meet in an hour.
Yeah.
He's ready within 10 minutes. So then he makes a stop on his way to the Oath Gate.
Yes.
He goes to swing by Kaladin's surgery office.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, Cal, what's it like being the most eligible bachelor in the tower?
Yeah.
And he's like,
I don't know what you mean.
I'm not. And he's like, you get a lot of light-eyed women coming in here for headaches and stuff. And Kaladin's like, oh,
yeah.
Well, that explains it.
He goes, no, that was it. He's like, oh, any day now you're going to get loads of women coming knock on your door. And Kaladin's like, oh. And then Adolin's like, it's already been happening, hasn't it?
Yeah. I would just like to take this opportunity to point out that Kaladin is not the most desirable bachelor in the tower. There is somebody else that shares Adolin's genealogical heritage, and therefore must be just as good looking as him, just with slightly different coloured hair. And therefore would be a much more prized target. You know, a beautiful light eyes boy with beautiful dark hair with bits of blonde running through it, who is also a radiant, so
he's clearly the more eligible bachelor.
Yeah.
This has been your public service announcement about why Renarin is best.
Yeah, like, Renarin, why was he not even a candidate here? I mean, I've seen that bit of artwork.
Right, Ben McSweeney, you made Renarin way too handsome.
No,
Renarin's supposed to be a creepy weirdo. And Ben McSweeney, you made him too good looking.
No, he's definitely the most eligible bachelor, and I don't understand why he's been discounted from the race. I feel like this is a travesty.
This isn't Neo Yokio. They don't have like a big billboard with the most eligible bachelors in the city.
They should.
They absolutely should, though.
But I will not rest until this injustice is fixed.
Yeah, that's fine.
So then he leaves to go meet the others at the Oath Gate.
Yeah.
So then he gets to the Oath Gate to say goodbye to his family.
Yeah.
And Renarin is not there to say goodbye to him.
Yeah, what is Renarin doing in this?
Thank you.
Where is Renarin?
Yeah. My thoughts exactly.
Where is Renarin? Like, this whole book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted more Renarin and I've got no Renarin.
Yeah.
So he says goodbye to Navani. He says goodbye to Yasna, who has stood with her wit.
Yes.
They're just friends.
They're just friends, guys.
Then sort of the others kind of like take a step back to give him some time with Dalinar. And there's some tension there.
There is a bit of tension, yes.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Adolin thinks that Dalinar is disappointed in the man that he's become.
Yeah.
Dalinar is disappointed in the man he's become.
Dalinar replies with the worst possible way. He's like, you're just disappointed. And he's like, yes, but like, I just think you can be better. And it's like, Dalinar, that's...
Yeah. Well, as Dalinar pointed out, it's not like he has mistakes from his past. He just wanted Adolin to do better than him.
He's like...
And Adolin's like, well, I haven't murdered my wife yet.
Oh my god. This chapter's, I don't know if you know this chapter's called The Seething Knot. And it's
I can
named
understand.
after that, because he's like, he's like, you say you're all whole way. At least I haven't murdered my wife yet.
And then the anger spren are like pooling around his feet.
I love that Adolin is furious about this. I love that.
And he's trying to control his anger as much as he can because...
he loves his dad.
Yeah.
Like, if Way of Kings, and Words of Radiance shows anything, is that Adolin fucking loves his dad.
Like,
and
he's definitely at conflict about the information that's come out in the last year.
Yes.
And, like, I think that's the conflict that's put a strain on their relationship more than anything.
God,
because, you know, like... every other book.
Yeah.
I'm sure they haven't actually spoken about it.
Oh, no, don't
I'm
worry.
sure Dalinar was just like, hey, son, I wrote a book. Get your wife to read it to you.
Let me know what you think. And then Adolin, like, turns up and is all like, you killed Mom? Like...
and he's like, oh, I've got a meeting. Bye! So I'm sure they've probably not even spoken about this.
Yeah.
And he's sort of just... having to deal with it himself.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
You were saying in Words of Radiance, I think it was Words of Radiance, that you want to see some sad Adolin. But how do you like your mad Adolin?
I like mad Adolin.
Yeah, just a bit more of that. I wish that they hadn't have split off at this point.
Well, at this point, he's still very controlled. Like, he's controlling it. I want, like...
God, we know what he can do when he's uncontrolled anger. Because he killed Sadius. In like a fit of rage,
I would like the Blackthorn son, please.
Oh, God, God.
The hot one, not the other hot one. Okay.
Cool. Right, so next, then they do transport into Shadesmar. And we get a cool little...
Did you almost say Urithru?
Yeah, I did, yeah. So they transfer into Shadesmar, and Gallant's with them. Good old Gallant, the horse. And Urithiru, this is a cool scene. So we get to see what Urithiru looks like in the cognitive realm, which is it's a big tower of light, which makes sense, because like it's a big old... Spren? Well, I mean, we know that now, but like at the time you didn't know that. And so it's a big old tower of light, which is like suspended in the sky on like pillars with stairs going down them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's cool. You get to meet some of the new Radiant Spren. So we finally meet the Stonewood Spren, which were the rocky dudes that we saw in Oathbringer. So yeah, you get to meet the Truthwatcher Spren, who are the Mist Spren, who I'm 99% sure Brandon explicitly said are not a Radiant Spren. But like, I might be misremembering that. I probably should look this up. Someone asked him, so we see Mist Spren in the town in Oathbringer. And someone said, Brandon, are those a Radiant Spren? And he said, no. I'm pretty sure he said no.
He might have just been throwing you off.
He might have just been throwing us off. He might have just changed his mind on something. There's been a big argument for years about whether the Radiant Spren are the only ones that are like people and all the other Spren aren't. And like, if they're a people Spren, then they are a Radiant Spren. There's like, you know, like the sapient ones with how to like culture.
No, that makes sense.
So yeah, so we get to meet those new Spren. The Mist Spren's really cool because it has like a porcelain mask and like ceramic fingers. I really like it.
I wonder if it's from the Southern Hemisphere schedule.
Oh god.
Sorry, descendants from
there. They make their way down the stairs. We get a bit of stuff with Shallan and Adolin. Patton is way more awkward than I remember him being. I don't remember him being awkward.
Haha!
Haha! Yes, also...
Ha-ha.
Patton keeps going like, haha, at the end of sentences. But like, I don't remember that ever being a thing he did before.
Haha!
Haha! So,
yeah. Maybe this is his character arc.
I mean, we do find out some stuff later on about him where maybe this is him putting on a face, and so that's why he's awkward.
No, I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah. So they make their way down the stairs. They get to the bottom. Near the bottom, Adolin notes that there's a bunch of lights in like near the bottom of the mountains, and he's like, "Oh, I guess Navani."
Glowy lights.
Yes, yeah, and he's like, "I guess Navani finally got those extra guards she wanted. I wonder why they're all red and glowy."
Yeah, like, don't we all? It's definitely not the fused invading.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did like about this chapter was we got to get to know the new Radiants a bit. So it was Stump's with them. Yeah. Stump's cool. Gadeki is the Radiant from the beginning who the Pursuer nearly killed. So he's the
Edge Dancer.
He's one of the Edge Dancers. And then we get to meet Zoo. I really like Zoo. Zoo is great. Zoo is the Iriali Stoneward. And like, I'm 10 out of 10. Like it. I also have a theory about Peak Spren. Because Peak Spren talk like Horneaters talk.
Yeah.
And they're called Peak Spren. And they're the Horneater Peaks. I reckon...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a fine thing to say. I reckon there's a link between the cultures of the Horneater Peaks and the Peak Spren. There is absolutely... Oh man! The Peak Spren would be like the cognitive... idea of the peaks for the Horneaters. Maybe.
Yeah.
And then the chapter ends with Shallan discovering that her Mraize cube has been tampered with. Ah! Oh, also Stargyle was sick, or his wife was sick, and so Beryl came instead.
He was sick. You would just leave your, sick wife and go, wouldn't you?
Oh, I absolutely would.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you were like, oh, I've got the sniffles, I'd be like, well, there's Edge Dancers for a reason. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real suspicious, Beryl.
Like, they literally have an edge dancer going.
In the group! Why didn't you just bring his wife and be like, hey, my wife's sick?
No, it's him that's sick.
Is it him that's sick?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you just walk down and be like, oh, I'm not feeling great, edge dancer, fix me up? Slash, can't they heal themselves with their Stormlight?
Yeah, Beryl is suspicious. I think Beryl's the imposter.
I don't. But, like, I think that Stigzilla's Stargyle.
Why?
I think he is.
You think he's the spy?
I think he purposely didn't want to go. I think he's going to be, like, doing something behind the scenes back at...
Got ya. Interesting.
Yeah. Because, like, they can heal themselves. And if it's not, he's got edge dancers going on this mission. Or you've got Lift, who I'm sure if you, like, knock on a vent, she'll eventually come out.
Yeah, she'll just pop out and, like, heal everyone. It'll be fine. Okay, maybe he's not sick then.
But this is what I mean. Yeah. Like, it's really suspicious that a being that can heal itself is ill.
Off sick. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. None of these guys are ever allowed to call into work sick.
Oh, man, that must suck for them.
6 days just don't exist for them.
They just do not, yeah.
Can't even just take the day and enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So then we have them on the... Like, they finally did the twirly stairs.
Yeah.
And are now at the bottom, and they've got, like, their boat has arrived.
Yeah.
And unlike the previous boats they've had, this one is literally just, like, a flat barge.
Yeah, it's just like a barge.
So, like, all of these stairs they climb down, because they've literally been climbing down stairs for days. Yeah. They brought a lot of, like...
no, it was... They say that the stairs aren't as high as Urithiru is up in the sky. Like, things are compressed.
Yeah, but it took them a couple of days to get down.
I think it was, like, a couple of hours. It wasn't a full day. Like, Adolin, like, they didn't camp out on the stairs. They just kind of walked down them.
I'm pretty sure it took them a long time to get down these stairs.
Okay.
Either way,
yes.
They got down these stairs with a lot of luggage.
Yeah.
Enough that they've been able to build themselves an entire structure on said barge to live in. It's made out of, like,
blankets and, you know.
It's made out of, like, their storage trunks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Like,
yeah.
There's only, like, 10 of them on this thing.
Yeah.
How much luggage did they bring, Benjamin?
You may remember, I remember reading that Shallan brought, like, a couple of cases and then made fun of Adolin because Adolin brought even more cases than Shallan.
I know that Adolin brought, like, 10.
Yeah.
But, like...
Adolin could luggage alone could have done
No.
it. So then the next chapter, we have Radiant in charge because Vale is in timeout because she took control the other day. And Shallan doesn't want to, like, confront the fact that one of her Lightweavers is, like, a spy and spying on her.
Yeah.
So Radiant's in charge. They think a bit about what they've found in Eli's book. And one of the things they found is apparently the Ghostbloods are really interested in Ba-Ado-Mishram. Now, do you remember who Ba-Ado-Mishram is?
I mean, it has an unmade name, so I'm assuming it's an unmade.
Yes. So it's an unmade who was the cause of the false desolation. And the false desolation, is you had Ba-Ado-Mishram. So you have the last desolation 4,500 years ago, which is when the Heralds left.
Yeah.
And then Odium couldn't return because they couldn't break Talm. So Ba-Ado-Mishram was one of the unmade, called the Something Princess, I want to say. And she connected herself to all of the singers and gave them forms of power, like a storm form and all that kind of thing. Yeah. And that was called the False Desolation, and it's because of that that I think Melishi, we know for a fact it was Melishi, I think. Melishi went and trapped Ba-Ado-Mishram in a gem, and by trapping Ba-Ado-Mishram while she was connected to all of the singers, that's what stole the singers' minds.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
That makes sense.
Ba-Ado-Mishram is super important because she was connected to all the singers. They trapped it, and that's what kind of caused the recreants. That was one of the things where they're like, our powers are too powerful. We, like, enslaved a whole race of people on the planet. So yeah, that's Ba-Ado-Mishram. Eventually, they Radiant convinces Shallan to come out, and they have a nice little chat with Adolin, where Shallan finally admits that she was trying to steal Yasna's Soulcaster from her. I say finally, but it wasn't a really big deal at this point. because Vale kind of pushes her to do it, because Vale really wants her to come to some sort of realization.
Yeah.
So there's something is going on there.
I have a theory about it.
You do have a theory about this, yes.
But I'm
We'll get to
going
that.
to I'm going to bring that up in a couple of chapters' time.
Yes.
When something
Happens.
confirms it for me.
Okay.
Because I'm right. So then I think she's either Radiant or Vale at this point.
I can't remember which one she is, yeah.
Or maybe she's like
I think
all
she's
three
switching
at some
between all
point.
three, yeah.
She starts off with her friend one.
Ishnar.
So she starts off with Ishnar and she's like, hey girl.
Hey girl!
Yeah. I know what you're up to behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Ishnar's like, oh boy, you know about my secret gambling rings.
Yeah.
Gambling rings?
I think she either owes debts or is helping. I think she's helping something.
She's helping her previous crew to make money in an illegal way.
Yeah.
And Shallan's like, yes, that's what
That's
I'm talking
what I was
about.
talking about, yes.
And she's like, I told them that I wasn't going to do it anymore. I haven't done it for weeks. Please don't tell, I'm out of it now, blah, blah, blah. And Shallan's like, yeah, it's cool. I believe you because we're best friends that hang out all the time.
You have very little respect for Shallan's friendship with Ishnar.
It's because it's non-existent and I keep being told it exists, but there's never any, like, hanging out together.
I would say, I don't think you're ever supposed to think they're friends. But
she specifically has this big breakdown because because Ishnar's such a good friend to her.
Yeah.
And she can't believe that one of her best friends would do this.
I don't think they're friends. It's
genuinely,
it's like because they've worked together for all this time. They trust each other.
Genuinely, like, she has a breakdown because it's her friend.
Okay.
But they never have friend moments.
Okay.
It was my biggest complaint of the last 3 books, and it's continuing.
It's continuing, yes.
Because even on this voyage, they don't hang out.
No.
And they're literally stuck alone together.
Yeah. I understand your complaint. Yeah.
Good. So yeah, she's like, it's okay, best friend in the whole wide world who I can't be separated from. Just so you're aware, I saw like a corrupted honor spren.
Or like a pain spren, or
I saw like a corrupted like spren back there, and she purposely like says one type to Ishnar. And she's like, I saw a corrupted spren, so just keep an eye out. Don't tell the others because I don't want to panic them. And then I think as like Vale, she goes up to someone else and she like one of the other suspects. And
she's like, Beryl next, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, hey, let's have an awkward 5-second talk because we don't actually really know each other. Oh, by the way, I saw a corrupted honor spren, so don't tell anyone and keep an eye out. Let me know if you see any more. And then she does the third person and she tells them a different type of spren.
Yeah.
And now she's like, cool. If that gets back to Mraize and he knows what type of spren, I now know which person it was.
Yeah. So the next chapter, we then get a little bit more Adolin and Shallan time, which is nice. I like seeing them together. It's nice. And we get Adolin doing like his morning katars, like his sword routines. But this morning, Maya joins him.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Maya joins in, and they're doing their sword things together, and he's showing her how to use a sword, and it's cute. It's very cute.
Yes.
We find out that apparently Shallan's been drinking to try and forget, so she doesn't have to think about things.
She's been getting drunk every night before bed.
Yes, and then not burning it off. Yeah. And that's not good. That's generally a bad indicator of someone's mental health. Yeah. So it sounds like Shallan's not dealing with things great. They arrive at the town as they get off the barge. Adolin goes to explore the town, but Shallan stays behind to speak to Mraize with the cube. So she speaks into the cube, saying Mraize, and the cube goes, "Oh, I know Mraize. I'll put you through to Mraize." So that's definitely a Cian. That's definitely a Cian in there. 100%. Like, absolutely.
Won't accept anything else. I mean, we already know that Mraize is a world hopper.
He has like everything else, so I'm not shocked he has one baby. Well, clearly two Cians, because he would obviously have his own as well.
Yeah.
So then, whilst Adolin is exploring the new town, he finds something, doesn't he, Lucy?
He's He's taken Maya shopping because he's like, come on, Maya, my wife doesn't want to hang out with me, but my mistress does. So he takes her shopping and she like stops dead in the middle of like the marketplace. And he's like, come on, Maya.
Yeah. Let's go.
A good wife would listen to me.
Yes.
And so she's refusing to move and she's like looking towards the shop. So he lets her lead him there.
Yeah.
And when they get inside, the shop owner is stood with a Deadeyes.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, great, more humans bonding with Spren, are we? Have you not killed enough of us already? And Adolin's like, well, that was thousands of years ago. We're trying our best not to this time.
Yeah.
He's like, say that, mate, but new Deadeyes are appearing.
Yes.
And Adolin's like, what? And he's like, well, my mate here, he's only been a Deadeyes for like 11 years. And
yes.
then Adolin's like, oh, I'll investigate that, and he leaves. We have conflicting theories. We have different theories on this. Yes, and I am 100% positive that it's my theory, not yours.
Your theory is pretty out there.
So,
yes.
What was said in the other chapter that I said I was about to back up? So when Shallan first holds the metal Sion box,
yes,
she has this like flashback to her childhood.
Yes.
And she's like, I've handled one of these before.
She gets like a huge wave of nostalgia and then looks around and expects to see the gardens of her childhood. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, when I was a small child, I had a spren.
Yes.
So he must remember this as well. And she's like, Patton, do you remember when we played with this box as a child? And Patton was like, No. And I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. And then after meeting this Deadeyes, who's only been dead for 11 years...
Yeah.
Timeline-wise, that matches up with Shallan being a child. And it matches up with roughly the time when she killed her mum.
Yes.
So, when she is on the boat and she starts bonding with Patton, Patton is very much a newly, brought forward spren.
Yes.
He's clearly not been in, physical realm for very long, if at all.
Yes.
So that means that he can't have been her original spren, because he doesn't remember this thing of her childhood.
Yeah.
He was new when he ran into her on a boat.
Yeah.
And, he's been acting a bit weird recently about wanting her to remember. And he keeps talking about Shallan killing him.
Yeah.
Like the others.
Yeah.
So that makes me think that child Shallan had a spren.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing about Patton, is when she bonds Patton, she's only a Radiant level 1.
Yeah.
She clearly must have been further along as a child in order to summon a shard blade.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they regress like this.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I think that child Shallan had a spren.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was a cryptic. Oh, that's it. The Deadeyes is also a cryptic, and therefore definitely leads into this.
Yes.
I think that child Shallan bonded a cryptic, did lots of her Odium, oaths with it. Because, child, they lie all the time.
Yeah.
It's quite easy to move up the Radiant ladder.
Yeah.
I think that she then accidentally kills her mum using it in self-defense.
Yeah.
Because we know that her mum was,
trying to kill her.
I think she accidentally kills her mum with the spren.
Yeah.
She can't bring herself to accept that truth. And I think that it kills the spren.
You've added to this theory since you told it to me last. Okay, cool. Carry on.
Because she keeps talking about the thing being in Dad's safe.
Yeah.
It's clearly a shard blade.
Yeah.
I think that there is a small, either shard blade or shard knife or something.
Oh, so instead of it being pattern, it's like a shard blade.
Yeah. It's definitely It's definitely some kind of shard weapon.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe like a knife or something, because obviously...
It was a living blade, yeah, so it could change its form.
So I reckon that she probably killed Mum using like this little dagger. Dad took, like, she's then had a meltdown about it, killed the Spren by like going back on her oaths. Dad's taken the weapon from her, put it in the safe, taken child Shallan away.
Sung her a terrible lullaby.
Sung her a beautiful lullaby. And now, like, years later, another cryptic was like, I'm going to bond with her. And they were probably like, mate, she killed the last one. And he's like, I know, but I'm curious. Because they're curious about everything. So I think that the dead eyes in the shop is her old Spren.
Okay.
And I think that's what's happened here.
So firstly, you've added to this theory since the last time we spoke, and that is really compelling, actually.
Thank you.
But my only issue is what a giant coincidence it would be for this Spren to be in this town where Shallan just happened to turn up.
I know that's a giant coincidence.
And that's the only reason I don't like it.
But...
yeah.
It's a good way to meet her old Spren without it being like, this is your old Spren, and like having it thrown at you. Fair
enough. I have a different theory, which is based on something that happens later on.
Yeah.
Because I think one of my theories was that this is what happens when Nail kills a Radiant. Because, you know, when Nail's been going, this guy has been going around killing Proto-Radiants. I was wondering if maybe for some reason now, when Nail does it, it kills the Spren now or something. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we've seen a Radiant die in the... Oh, wait, no, because we do see, because the Honor Spren at the beginning lost his Windrunner, but was, like, still survived. So, I don't know. Maybe it's when you kill...
because that was just in a normal fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, that might not have been by the Shard Blade.
No, that was just in a normal fight.
Maybe when a Radiant is killed with a Shard Blade, it might dead-eye the Spren. Maybe. But my other one is related to the Tukari people that they find. So in the town, Adolin finds there's like a group of humans, Tukaris, and Tukar is the city that Tukar is the country that Ishar is currently in charge of as God King, you know, who's like invading Emul and stuff. So these Tukari humans in Shadesmar, which is weird that they're already really creepy that they're there and Ishar's the one in charge of them. And Adolin goes to say hi and they're super hostile to him. And I might as well say it now, because I want to say it whilst we're still talking about the Dead Eyes. They later go on to attack Notum.
Sorry.
What?
Ishar's in charge of them.
Yeah, Ishar's like running Tukar the country. So I'm assuming this group of Tukari, I don't know what you call them.
Tukars.
This group of Tukars, I'm assuming they are sent there by Ishar or something, because they eventually end up attacking Notum. And I think they were trying to dead-eye him.
Okay.
That's what my theory, and that's why I think... I don't know why this would be. Maybe Ishar doesn't want Radiants returning, so he's just sent off roving bands of bandits to go kill.
I mean, specifically Honest.
I mean, he attacks the Honest Spren, but like they could have attacked a lone cryptic that they'd found in this, up near this town.
There's lots of lone cryptics. Honest Spren stay in their town and they don't leave.
So yeah, that's my theory. But that's a very compelling theory, and I do like that.
Thank you. That's why I won't accept that it's not right.
So yes, that's my theory. Going back to where we are in the book. After seeing the Dead Eyes, Adolin and try to say hey to the Tukarians. They're like, hey, no. And so he then goes back to the boat, and Notum's there. Notum is the captain of the boat that was the Honor Spren boat that took them towards Thaylen City. Thalinar. And he's like, they tell him their plan of going to Lasting Integrity and convincing the Windrunners, the Honor Spren to make all Windrunners. He says, haha, you're all insane. This must be a joke. You realize I was exiled because of how helping you. They're never going to help you. This is, you are mad. And Adolin's like, yep, I am mad.
Yeah.
So after this conversation, Adolin and Shallan and that whole group leaves. They start their little hike. They have some chats. The Tukar people are following them. They camp, and it's a nice little hike. Shallan and Adolin, they go on a nice little date. Yeah. I really like this scene. like Adolin like takes her up to some nice hilltop where from this hilltop.
But technically, him and Vale go on a
him
date.
and Vale, because Shallan is still not good.
She's and when the others went off and she went to use the Sion box.
Yes, I forgot about this part. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you have.
Yeah.
So the others all went off to explore the town. She stayed behind on a barge to use the Sion box with everyone gone, so they wouldn't see. And when she opened the lid, it's been moved.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time that somebody has clearly used it behind her back. And she's like, it literally didn't leave my sight yesterday. I have no idea how anyone got to it.
Yeah.
And that really terrifies her.
Shook her.
And that makes her regress.
I think she also, in a conversation with Mraize mentions that it was to look out for corrupted glory spren, which is the one she told Beryl. And so she thinks Beryl is the spy now. So she's trying to work out what to do about the situation. And Shallan is not handling this well.
Yeah. I don't believe that Beryl is the spy.
I mean, we find out we think out Patton was using the cube.
Yeah, but I don't believe it's Patton either.
Oh.
I am still quite convinced that it's formless. I think
I forgot that was your theory, yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm still very much under the mindset of she doesn't realise when formless is, like, fronting.
Control? Okay.
And I think that formless takes control sometimes and does things.
Interesting. I definitely do think it's Beryl. That feels way too obvious.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Patton when we get there. But yeah, their little dates that they go on. I really like this scene. This is probably my favourite Shallan Adolin scene in this part. Yeah. Like, they just go on this lovely date and they talk about like how they're both really struggling with what's going on in their lives right now. They're both really struggling, but then they like comfort each other, and it's like it's really nice. And then they see the giant star-spren. I loved this star-spren reveal because it's like they're what's it called? It's like a constellation. Like, you hear about star-spren in the sky as like individual points of light, and then it's like, no, they're not individual points of light. They're one big dragon thing. They're a constellation, and like. It's the big pretty things, and I really like it.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and I think they see Notum again, and he's riding a fancy horse.
Yes.
But like a very, very fancy horse, which is definitely a music spren. Because when Adolin asks about his fancy horse, Notum's like, not all spren are made by people or are thought of by people. And so we know that the Rashadium have music spren, and so if that's not a music spren from a Rashadium, I'd be like, I won't need a shoe, but I'll go, dang it.
No, do something.
Yeah, I'll say, dang it.
I'll make him do something. I'm not
making a bet. I'm never making a bet based on the Stormlight Archive ever again in my life.
I think you should.
Anyway, so yes, I like the idea that the Star Spren is a spren thought of by like chasm fiends.
Okay.
Because I think she kind of says either the little picture we get in the map, or I think she says its kind of head kind of looks a bit like a chasm fiend's. I really like the idea that chasm fiends want to fly. Okay. And so I like the idea that the chasm fiends think of the stars in the sky as like giant chasm fiends flying around. And I like that idea. Also, I always had the theory that, when chasm fiends would pupate, they turn it like normally when a creature pupates, it turns into something else. We now know that they just turn into bigger chasm fiends, but for ages I thought maybe they turned into flying chasm fiends. Aww. But like the reason we haven't seen it is because they interrupt them before, like while they're pupating. Yeah, this is them cutting the gem heart out of the pupating chasm fiend.
I'm so glad that they are doing that.
Yes, and so yeah, I really like the idea that these are like chasm fiends dreaming about flying spren.
Oh,
yeah,
cute. Yeah, I'm alright with that.
Yeah. Cool. In my notes, I just have a reminder that Felt and his wife are on this mission as well. Because Felt, the head spy for the Venture household on Scadrial, is on this mission. And I just felt that was noteworthy.
He's spying for Elend.
Yeah. No, Elend's deadened.
Elend is not dead. Elend and Finn are happily living in the cognitive realm somewhere.
No, they're not.
They are.
No.
Yes.
So moving on,
They're on whimsy.
The two-car group, after Notum comes back, because Notum's like patrolling up and down, after the Notum passes them back and you see the horse Spren, the two-car group leave and follow Notum. So Adolin realizes they were following Notum the whole time and goes and jumps on Gallant's back and goes and chases after them.
Yeah.
Oh, with Maya? I think Maya's on the horse as well.
Yeah. Maya's been on the horse this whole time.
Yes.
Because obviously, being a Deadeye's, like, he didn't want to have to worry about her and he didn't want her, like, having
wandering
to walk.
off. And yeah.
So he put her on the horse because her and Gallant seem to, like...
Get on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they've got this relationship where they seem to understand each other.
Yeah.
Like Adolin has with her.
Yeah. So yeah, Adolin rides ahead of everyone, is all like, you guys all come after me, but I gotta go now. He finds the group of Tukari. They are like stabbing Notum and like kicking him. They're like trying to kill him.
Yeah.
What you would do if you were trying to kill a person, which is why I think they were trying to Deadeye him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can Deadeye someone like that.
Pretty sure that they explain. I'm pretty sure he says that if they have too much pain, then they Deadeyes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I think they were trying to. I think they were trying to Deadeye him, and that's where the new Deadeyes come from. And so
it's a good theory.
I think it's a good theory. We moved because the sun moved, and so it was inconvenient.
We've been doing this a while.
We have been doing this a while. I thought this fight was excellent because it was some good action. It was tense. There was stakes.
Yeah.
I legitimately feared for Adolin's, maybe not his life, but like his I thought maybe he was going to like lose an arm or something, or
This whole chapter, Adolin has been talking about not feeling important anymore because now they've got Radiance, they don't really need soldiers.
Yes.
So everything that he's grown up doing and being, it's not important anymore.
Yeah.
Being a Light Eyes isn't important.
Because anyone can be a Radiant and become Light Eyes.
Being a good soldier isn't important.
Yeah.
So like he doesn't have a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
And him dying valiantly to save
an honor Spren,
Yeah, and that could have been like their way into honor.
Yeah.
So I legitimately did not know if he would survive this.
I think Brandon did a very good job of making us legitimately think there was a risk to this main character.
Yeah.
I was actually fearing for him.
Yeah, me too. Poor guy.
Yeah. And so, he does eventually fight them off. I think he gets stabbed once or twice and is really badly wounded. And
they've been in Shadesmar for like 3 weeks at this point.
So they don't have any Stormlight left.
But they have the tiniest amount, and it's not going to be
it's not going to be
useful.
Enough. So they save Notum and they head back to camp.
Yeah. So everyone else has like gone after Adolin.
Yeah.
But obviously he got them hours before them, by the sounds of things.
It's like minutes.
He killed every single guy before they'd even turned up.
Sword fights are very quick. It was minutes.
So then they all go back to camp together.
Yeah.
They all left camp to go and help Adolin.
Except for Patton.
Who stayed to watch the stuff. Shallan opens up her trunk and she's been dusting the cube with a powder.
Yeah.
So that she can tell if it's been moved and it's not just her
imagination.
Yeah. So she's been putting powder on it, and so she opens up her trunk and there's fingerprints on the cube.
Yeah.
It's been put back in the exact same position it was in before because clearly
they've worked out
that she was getting suspicious. But now it's got fingerprints on it and Patton was the only one left behind. So she was like, Patton.
Patton, yeah.
Patton, anything suspicious happened whilst we were gone? And Patton was like, nope. And she's
good.
Oh, okay, is he capable of lying?
Yes.
So then she's like, hey, do you remember this thing from my childhood?
Yeah.
That never happened. And Patton's like,
no?
Yes. Yeah, I remember that. And she's like, lies.
She's like, oh my god, Patton can lie to me. Oh my god.
Yeah, so now she is convinced that Patton is
Yes.
the person.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Patton, has been talking to Mraize.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's anything sinister behind it.
Yes,
I think he thinks he's helping.
That's my thoughts as well. I reckon I don't know why he'd keep it from Shallan. I reckon he thinks he's doing something good to help her. Because I feel like if he was working against her, that would, like, cause problems for the bond.
Yeah.
And so I think he thinks he's helping by whatever it is he's doing. But he's definitely not, because Mraize could probably manipulate him pretty well, because he's pretty naive. You know,
is. No mating.
Yeah, no mating. So yeah, that's my thoughts as well.
Yeah. She decides not to confront him because she just doesn't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Like, unlike Ishnar, Patton really is, like, her best friend.
Yeah. So, anywho, they carry on to the Honor City.
Lasting integrity.
And a couple of scouts come out to be like, go away.
Yeah.
And they're like, and Adolin's like, we've written you letters. And they're like, yay, we love letters. Yeah.
Bye!
And he's like, you could have at least read my letters. I travelled weeks to get here.
I love their argument. Their argument was like, if I read your letters, you might have convinced me, so therefore I didn't read your letter.
Yeah.
Great logic.
So he's then like, well, and they're like, we don't want to bond with you. You killed our...
Like our ancestors. Yeah.
Well, not ancestors, because they were all alive at the same...
Yeah.
No, because they were alive at the same time. Like, it's still in that generation.
The Honor-spren, the only survivor of the Recreants was Syl, which is why she's the Ancient Daughter. All the Honor-spren that are around now were made by the Stormfather after the Recreants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're like, well, you killed all of the others. We don't want to bond with you. Go away.
Yeah.
Full stop.
We don't want... Yeah.
And Adolin's like... You can't blame us for something that happened thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Of course we can. So Adolin's like, fine. Why don't you arrest me and put me on trial for the crimes of my ancestors? They're like, yeah,
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were like, we see you have a Deadeyes in your possession. We will take it and make sure it's being treated fairly. They're going to put her in some kind of asylum, and she is not going to be allowed back to him. I can guarantee. And then there's going to be a gigantic, massive fight.
Yeah.
For Adolin getting to her and getting her out. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to take Maya and put her in, because they have all of the Honor-spren that were destroyed.
Yes.
In an institution.
You reckon yeah.
I think they're going to put Maya in there, and he's going to have to fight to get her out.
Yeah.
And I think, right, I don't think they're going to let him have any Honor-spren.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take all of the Deadeyes Honor-spren.
Ooh.
And he's going to take all of them back with him.
Just a buttload of shard blades with him.
Well, he's found a way to restore... he's finding a way to restore Maya.
Yeah.
Maybe he can help the others to restore these ones, like what Kaladin's doing.
Yeah.
Kaladin's restoring the men.
Yeah.
Adolin's going to restore the spren, and they can make like a big joint mental health hospital together.
Yeah.
Oh, I look forward to the future where they run a hospital together.
Adolin and Kaladin,
and it's like
spren and men. Yeah,
are you a men or a spren? And then you go off to your separate ward to be healed.
Oh.
Well, helped. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, him being put on trial for the crimes of his ancestors, this doesn't quite make sense to me. And you said it made sense to you.
Yeah.
Because to me, that means he just has to prove that he's not his ancestors, which is really easy because he can be like, humans only live for hundreds of years.
Well, no. Because right now, the argument from the Honor-spren is your ancestors killed us.
Yeah.
You are descended from the same people. There is no reason why you wouldn't also do the same.
Okay.
So he has to prove that the Radiants that are coming up now aren't going to do what they did before.
Okay.
The Radiants before obviously abandoned their vows because they found out that they were the invaders.
Yeah.
These ones know.
Yeah.
So these ones aren't going to have that same flaw.
Yeah.
And I think that's all he really has to try and prove.
Yes.
I think they will forgive him for the crimes of his ancestors.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to give him any spren for it, but I think he's going to ask for the Deadeyes, and he's going to get the Deadeyes.
I have an idea.
What?
I've just realised, do you know what would be really inconvenient to turn up in a trial where you're saying, we aren't going to kill our spren this time.
Somebody else's...
spren that's been killed this time by someone...
By the woman that you're currently with in jail. Because he took Shallan with him.
Oh yeah, he took Shallan with him into the city. That would be awfully inconvenient.
I'm aware.
Interesting.
I like being right.
Yeah, I do like you. I don't know.
You keep yours, I will keep mine.
Okay, I'll keep mine. Alright.
Loser has to eat a shoe.
No! Because I'm not betting anything on anything Storm My Archive ever again.
It's because you know I'm right.
Is it because I know you're right?
Yeah. So that's the end of the Shadesmar part.
Excellent. Cool. So the rest of it is Kaladin, Venli, and Navani.
So the first tower chapter is Kaladin and Syl.
Yep.
Kaladin is now a surgeon.
Yep.
And because he is a man and therefore is not able to read.
Yeah.
The only woman in his life has taken up reading so that she can assist him.
Yes.
So you're right. Syl has had a character arc. She's gone from a cool, strong female spren to a personal assistant.
Well, she's still the cool...
Secretary.
She's still the cool, dynamic character. She's just, now she's just can also read.
I'm fine with her reading.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I don't know. I just miss them being out doing cool battle stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there.
It's definitely a change of pace to...
flying around, being the Stormblessed.
Yeah. We're now a surgeon again. So, Teft comes in.
Yep.
And he's like, mate, busy. If you want healing, go and find an edge dancer or something.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm here to join you.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, I'm a trained surgeon.
You're just a sergeant.
You're not.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I decided that I'm not a radiant anymore because of my impalement.
Oh, okay.
Which is why you're not anymore.
Yes.
So we should be together because you're my commander. And Kaladin's like, I'm really not anymore.
Like you need to, I'm really not.
And Teft's like, well, you've just said you're busy and I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
So now
I'm here to help.
Teft is his assistant.
Yeah.
Which is quite cute.
Yeah. Yeah, because Teft stayed behind because, for the same reason that Kaladin stayed behind, is that he felt his
mental health
was thing and it was time for it. Did he retire?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so he retired.
Yeah. So then they decide that they want to... Kaladin had a woman come in saying that she's trying to find her uncle. Was he brought to the medics? And Kaladin decides that he's going to use Teft to try and find the girl's uncle for her.
Yeah.
So they go down to talk to the Ardents because that's where he was taken to.
Oh, yes, the Ardents that specialise in mental health.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
So he gets taken to... Well, he goes down there and they're like, you've no authority here. And Kaladin just sort of like, ugh. And Teft's like, it's all right.
Yeah.
I've got this one.
Yes.
So Teft's like, summons blade, eyes turn light, and the Ardent's like, didn't know
so
who you were.
Yes.
Yep, you've got the authority to be here, Bright Lords. Please, follow me.
Yes.
So the Ardent takes them to the uncle that they're currently looking after.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a black room.
Yep.
Just lying in bed, no lights in his room, just sort of a cell. And Kaladin's like,
This is horrifying.
Yeah. And Kaladin's like, oh, are all those other rooms empty then? And the guy's like, because the lights are off in all of them. And the guy's like, oh no, that's how we keep the patients. We don't want to stimulate them. And Kaladin's like...
This is horrible.
Yeah.
How could you do this?
He's like, you can't seriously be treating all these different conditions
with the same way.
And the guy's like, oh, well, that's what the textbooks say. And he's like, and how many people are cured? And the guy's like, 0.
Oh, none of them.
And Kaladin's like, well, you wouldn't treat a broken arm the same way you would treat a head wound.
Yeah.
So why are we treating all these different, like, psychological issues the same?
Yeah.
And the aunt's like, because no one's ever...
tried. Like,
yeah, we've never had any books that say otherwise. We just do as the texts tell us.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, cool, well, this guy is now in my care.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't think you can do that. And Kaladin's like, no, he is now in my care.
It's like, if you don't think I can do that, you can try and stop me, or you you can report me to someone, but this kid, I'm taking this guy.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I thought was interesting about the Arden is, like, from their perspective, like, obviously what they're doing is horrific by modern standards.
Yeah.
But to them, it's normal because they don't know any better. Like, well, literally no one's taken the time to try and...
Well, it's like the sort of, like, mental institutions from, like, the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Where,
like, this was still something that happened very recently in modern times. Like,
yeah, well, there wasn't a lot of understanding for how to treat these conditions. There wasn't really a lot of understanding that these conditions...
even were a thing.
Well, could be treated.
Yeah.
And so it was better just to stick them in a place where they can't do any harm to the outside world.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what they're doing. And Kaladin's like, I could easily have ended up here. Yeah. Because, you know, I fit the criteria.
Yeah, he could have ended up there.
And he's like, we need to do better.
Yeah.
So he has decided that he is going to take this man.
Yeah.
And he is going to take a few others with similar
ailments
because he is like this man.
Yeah.
And he's going to see if he can find a way to help them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we leave him. It's really sweet.
It is. People talk a lot about what they want for Kaladin in the end. Yeah. And, like, some people want him to ascend to be a shard, so he's around forever. Some people want him to... Some people think he might die valiantly. I don't know if anyone wants him to die, but, like...
See, I can't see either of those paths.
Neither can I. What I really want for Kaladin is I want him to find something that's not being a soldier and not being a surgeon, that he can, like, settle down and live the rest of his life doing that makes him feel happy. And I think this is it. I think being the mental health guy on Roshar and revolutionizing how the Odium should deal with it.
This is his legacy.
I was like, I want that to be his legacy. I want him to go down this route.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll happen. Maybe he probably would. Let's be fair. He's probably gonna die.
No.
Like
not until I marry him.
You can't marry all of them, Lucy.
I can marry him and Renarin and it's fine. No, to be fair, like, I think this is such a natural move for him.
Yeah.
Because obviously he likes to help and protect.
Yeah.
As a surgeon, all he ever sees is people that he can't help.
Yeah.
That he wants to, but he can't.
Yeah.
As a soldier, all he ever has is men that, no matter how hard he tries, still die in battle.
Yeah.
As someone that's helping those that the world has already given up on, that's what he seems to do best.
Yes.
And so I very much would like to see where this goes.
Yeah. I was going to say, because also surgeon and soldier also both come with major daddy issues for him. So getting away from those,
Daddy Dalinar.
So the next chapter is then Navani, and they're saying goodbye to the Emil group, the group that's all going to Emil, which is, like, you know, Dalinar, all of them, the Mink thingy. Gavinor's going with them, which I thought was interesting because obviously the children go with them to war, like like Adolin and Rhaenyra, and Evie came and brought them because he's like, everyone else gets to go to war.
Yeah, well, it's an Alethi thing where like from the second they can hold a sword, you teach them how to. Yeah, and Gavinor, even in the last Gavinor chat scene, was like, I really want to learn to use a sword like the other boys.
I want to defend my country like my dad did.
And so Navani, although she doesn't want him to go with Dalinar, he's very, very adamant that he's going with Dalinar.
Oh, yeah.
Because even as a 5-year-old, he's stubborn like that.
Yes.
But the way they've set up the battlefield, he should be as safe as they can possibly make him. Yeah. And I think Yasna's going to stay with him the whole time to protect him. Yeah. So it should be all right.
Speaking of Yasna, we get a little bit of some rumours, apparently. Well, some rumours.
Oh, no, we've already had the rumours.
Oh, there's rumours in the other scene?
Yeah, we've already dealt the rumours.
Okay, so there's rumours between her and Wit, which
they're
would
just
be
friends.
Interesting.
They're just friends.
As Navani says goodbye to Yasna, they have the world's most awkward hug.
I mean, I finally got some Kholinar family.
That's what I was thinking. So you've always wanted Kholin family time. Why do we never see the Kholins the main Kholin branch, not the uncle branch? And so it really interesting. We finally got the scene and we realise why we never get Kholin family time.
Yeah,
because they are so awkward around each other.
Well, Yasna is clearly still slightly resentful from being put in an institution as a child. Mm-hmm. Fair. Yep. And I don't think that they've ever really spoken about feelings. Yeah. And because of that, it's sort of caused a bit of a rift between them. Yes. But Yasna says to her just as she's leaving, I know things aren't great between us. Yeah. When I come back, I'd like if we can make some time for each other and we can try and...
Oh, God, did she say that? Did she really say that? Oh, no, she'll come back.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Oh, no.
She knows how to survive from being stabbed through the chest. I think she'll be all right.
Yasna does. But what about Navani?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, she's kind of served her purpose now.
Oh my god.
She's given them aeroplanes.
This is very clearly Navani's book. So yes, after they say goodbye to the group going to Emul, Navani and her scholars gather together because they found a new room. They're exploring the rooms that don't have any doors by cutting them with shard blades, and they found a room which has a big 10-foot tall model of Urithiru in it, and I'm like, I like this room because now I want a big 10-foot tall model of Urithiru.
You're not having one.
No, I want one though.
Don't care, you're not having one.
I want to be able to get a mini Urithiru, I can put on my desk.
An Urithiru for ants.
Yes.
You're not having one.
Yeah. I love how even in miniature the model still is 10 feet tall because the tower is just so big. Yeah. Even in ant size.
But I did really like the details of it.
It's got every room in it. And yeah.
And it's intricately detailed with how it would have looked back in its glory days.
Yes.
Because they got there and it was completely empty.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice to see what it used to be.
I wonder, because I've always had the opinion that the tower was basically alive in the past. And that's the reason why you've got walls and doors that aren't... You've got rooms that don't have walls and doors. Yeah. Because the tower would make doors whenever it needs them, kind of thing.
They would have walls.
Sorry, doors and windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just make them whenever they need them, and they would seal them off from rooms they didn't need them or something like that. Yeah. And I wonder if this is kind of the master copy almost. Maybe this is you make changes to the model and it makes it to the tower, something like that. I don't know. Or it's just a cool model, and I just like cool models, so I talked about a cool model.
That's fair.
Then after that, we get the triangulation scene because Navani is still getting messages from her pen pal, and so what they do is they do the same thing they've been doing before, where they get the span read, and when they're talking to her pen pal,
her spren.
We found out it's a spren in this scene, yes. Yeah. And they attach little weights to it and see how much it affects things. Because the distance you are from the original, like the distance the pens are, the different forces are applied.
Mm-hmm.
And so by attaching little weights to it, you can measure how far away the other side of the spam read is. And so they like triangulate where the spam is coming from, and they work out, yes, it's coming from within the tower.
Yeah.
I really like this scene.
Yeah.
I think it was really cool.
The second they did that,
Yeah.
I was like, so the tower, so she's talking to the spren of the tower.
Yeah.
Like,
and I know that's
100%.
That's the theory people have been thinking that it is.
Oh,
like,
no, 100%. Like,
yeah.
that is what I was on from the second I read that.
Yeah.
As soon as they were like, it's coming from inside the tower, I was like, no, it is the tower. So yeah, like 100%, that's what it is.
Yeah. I never formed a theory because I felt like it was one of these things that wasn't going to be a long-standing mystery.
Yeah.
So I just never really was like, oh, it could be the tower, it could be another spren, it could be Ciana. You know, I saw all those theories and I was like, oh, it could be. But I just didn't latch onto any of them.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Fair.
Yeah. Cool. And then we get, after this, we get the first Venli chapter.
Yeah.
And Venli is with a group of fused and regals hiking up their way to Urithiru.
Yeah.
We get to meet a creepy new fused, which I really like.
Yeah.
The Im. And they are the cohesion fused. So they like form in with the ground. So they can do like the Stonewood thing of melding the ground, or apparently instead of moving the ground out of the way, they just meld in between them.
Yeah.
I really like this. This is really cool. The fact that they don't walk, they just stand perfectly still and just move. I find that super creepy. Yeah. I really like these dudes. These are cool fused.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how we're seeing these variations on the surges where you get like they get a version of the surge which applies to them, but like permanently.
Yeah.
And this is something that Raboniel says, which is they can hold void light in their gem heart and then bask in it indefinitely.
Yeah.
And then she talks about how the radiants are very outwards focused, so they can cast a stone to the sky, but the fused are far more internal focused and can soar, never worrying about falling. And I just find this really interesting that I'm no longer sure that they get unlimited stormlight. I stood by this theory. Sorry, unlimited void light. I stood by this theory that they got unlimited void light for however many years it's been since Oathbringer, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of like, they hold the void light in their gem heart, and then I think they can just use it indefinitely without it being used up.
Yeah. Because
they only do it to internally, and they don't affect things outside. Because I'm pretty sure we do see them lash things, but we talked about this and we're not sure.
I don't think they lash. I think they carry.
Yeah. So yes, it's odd. It's an interesting statement, and I'm going to look into this further and come up with theories because this chapter was very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is also the chapter where we get Raboniel saying that questioning is a good passion and that people should question, which is interesting as a counterpoint to Odium earlier on, who was like, "Do not question me," rah! And then Sharnart being like, "I thought questioning was a passion, Mr. Odium, if that is your real name."
Mm.
So yeah.
So then we go back to Kaladin, who has started his club for men that he has taken from the asylum that are similar to him.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like they are kind of like PTSD, like kind of depressed.
Yeah.
And they're outside on one of the big balconies, and they're just sitting around in the chairs just talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it seems to be helping them, like, yeah, obviously, like talking about their feelings and what's happened to them and realising they're not alone in this.
Yeah,
like,
and that helps them.
Yeah, it's really lovely. Like, it's definitely having a good positive impact on them.
Yeah.
And it's just really sweet.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, Cal, are you gonna join them?"
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, "Oh, I want to get it all up and running first, and then I'll join the group."
It's like, "Yeah, sure you will, Cal, sure you will."
Yeah, and Syl's like, Sure, Cal.
Okay, if you say so.
Sure, you wouldn't really benefit from this. He's like, no, I'm good for now. I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me just get it up and running.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. Join the group.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I think he would definitely benefit from that. He should really join in.
Well, he hasn't really got anyone in his life that he can talk to about these problems.
Like, he tries still, like...
Well, he can't really talk to Syl because her level of understanding is so different. Yeah. And, like, he's got Adolin, but obviously you don't want to tell everything to... Yeah.
Adolin is his bro, it's not really the same kind of relationship.
Yeah, and Adolin can't really relate to him.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I think that's another one of Kaladin's struggles, is he doesn't have anyone to relate to.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if he could.
Yeah. It's this part where Syl, like, gets depressed about something, and Kaladin's like, oh, where's my happy Syl? And Syl's like, oh, sorry, and, like, paints on a smile. And he's like, no, I didn't mean it like that.
I can't remember if it was this one or it's slightly later on.
Oh, okay.
But, like, she says something really quite, like...
depressing.
Well, not depressing, but, like, philosophical.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, oh, that's not your normal happy spren self, Syl.
Yeah.
And Syl's like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me just smile for you.
Yeah. No, and it's like, oh no, like, that's not what he meant, and like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh, poor Syl. I love Syl.
I know, I love Syl. I really like Syl in this book. Like I said, she's going through this arc of actually becoming a person.
Yeah.
And I really like that. So then we go back to Navani, who is having some fun with a lift glove that this guy's made, where they can join and unjoin.
Not lifts glove.
Not lifts glove. A glove that can be used as a lift.
Yeah, don't worry. Her safe hand is still covered. No, it's not.
No. Yeah, and so it's kind of like a conjoined fabrial where you can point it in a direction and then you move in that direction no matter which way the thing is.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to sit down and do some maths to understand this whole One Direction nonsense. Because they say they can specify the direction you can go in, but then they say they can only do it per fabrial in one direction, and I'm like, I don't get why, but I need to look into it. I need to double check this.
No, that's fair.
Once she's had fun with that, which is, I think, a very funny scene. Once she's finished having fun with that, David gets caught being the one supplying the rubies because she threw away the other ruby off the side of Urithiru, and David gets caught, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the Radiant. He doesn't say much, and he's always with the Radiance being there. And it's like, oh no, David.
No.
Yeah, I hope he's okay.
I love him.
And then some other scribes. So she hears some like fuss, and she assumes it's because of David. And then she hears about an explosion that happened.
Yeah.
And
then we go to Venli.
Yes.
And the stone people come back through the walls. They're like, hey, we've disabled the defenses. It's safe for you to come through now.
Yeah.
And they walk into like the bottom of the tower.
Yeah.
And it's just full of soldier corpses.
Yeah.
And they're like, took out the defenses.
They're like, oh. Could you imagine being on patrol in like creepy ass tunnels and then just arms start coming at you from out of the walls?
I was about to say, and then the tunnels attack you.
And then the tunnels start attacking you with arms. It's like they're not prepared for that.
No one's prepared for that.
No one's prepared for that.
And then Kaladin is with Teft, and he's been looking for Darby David.
Not Dobby.
Dobby. May as well be Dobby. He's been looking for David because obviously David shares a lot of the same issues as the men in his group.
Yeah.
So he's been looking for David to bring him into the group so that he's got people that he can listen to and maybe it will get him talking again. But Teft can't find him and he's not been in his rooms for a couple of
days. I think it's 3 days or something.
So yeah, they're worried about him.
Yeah.
Don't know where he is yet. Can't possibly put 2 and 2 together and know that he's with Navani.
Yeah.
That was a really tough one to work out.
Yes. Yeah, because it doesn't tell you straight off that it's David. You have to work it out. But it's blindingly obvious.
Yeah. And then the fused people that Venli are with are attacking through the tunnels when we cut back to her.
Yeah.
And a human comes at her with a knife.
Yeah.
So she smashes his skull against the walls.
Oh, yes.
Until he's dead. And she's like, oh, it's my first human kill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of forgotten that Venli wasn't ever a soldier.
No.
And, like...
She was always a scholar.
She was always a scholar, and then she was an envoy. And, like... So, yeah, she's never had to kill anyone before.
No.
She's never even been in, like... I guess she would have been Stormform in the end of Words of Radiance, like, fighting with them. But I guess she just didn't...
Well, they weren't fighting. They were calling a storm.
They were singing, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought it was a cool detail. I'd never realised that Venli had never killed anyone before, and then that was her first ever kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes, and then also, at one point, Raboniel's like, oh, why didn't you, like, stab him with your knife or something? And she's like, I don't have any weapons. And then she goes, for Ado's sake, always be armed, or something like that. And so she swears by Adolin, and I'm like, Raboniel, you scamp.
It's because Adonasium is originally from Rushar, like I said, and this is where Hoidi was born. It all makes sense. He was born on the Shattered Plains. It makes sense.
Oh, yes, the sea that was the Shattered Plains.
Yes.
Yes.
It's logical.
Okay.
God, next chapter.
Cool. Next chapter is we go back to Navani. Because we're switching back as this invasion's occurring. It's very tense. I really like it. So we go back to Navani, who's investigating the room that's exploded. Yeah. So the room that exploded is the room which had the people that were investigating the Black Sphere in it, which we still don't know what is. And apparently, it exploded. And so we have a couple of theories of what this potentially could be.
I'll let you do yours first, because you've got more theories than I have.
I have 3. My first and least likely, I think, is that this was just overstuffed with void light. Like you can fill a gemstone up, but like, can you overfill a gemstone?
Yeah.
And so maybe it was just absolutely stuffed, filled with void lights that, like, when they chipped a bit off, it like exploded. That's my first and least likely. My second is that this was an explosion spren. That's it. That's my whole theory. Like, is that it was an...
the black spheres are explosion spren.
Explosion spren. And when you release the explosion spren, they explode. My third...
So they're like really, really old-timey grenades.
Yeah, they're magic grenades.
Okay, cool.
And so, like, their void spren, I should have mentioned this is why they're void lighty, this is why they're black, is because they're void spren, and, like, that makes them black for some reason. I mean, you just don't get explosions very often, so no one would have seen explosion sprens on Roshar before, you know? My third one
Void light is red, but it's okay.
Well, void light's purple, actually. I think you'll find. The third one is this may have been part of a Fabrial in the past, and it might have been part of a division Fabrial, and that kind of carried over. This one's actually maybe explosion spren is actually the most likely. Yeah, cool. Those are my 3 theories.
Magic grenades, that's
magic
fine.
Grenade. All of them are magic grenades, basically.
Good theory.
Yeah. Like,
I love that I can now do that to you.
Yes, because like I'm here as well. I'm blind as you are.
So I have one theory for this, and I only have one theory for this. As you mentioned earlier,
Ba-Ado-Mishram
was trapped in a sphere all those long timies ago.
Yes.
And that's what caused the crab people to lose their minds.
Yes.
I think that she's just been released by the Ardents.
Ooh.
I think that she was in the sphere.
Yeah.
And I think that the others were all trapped in those spheres. And the others have all been released.
The others...
The other unmade.
Okay.
I think that when Odium came back, he released them by giving them to singers to...
Like crack.
Well, not crack, but like during the storm to fuse with. and that brought them back.
Okay.
I don't think he managed to find this one.
Yeah, because Zeth hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that...
Interesting.
I think that this is it coming back to life.
I, for a very long time, did also think that the Black Spheres had unmade in them, specifically Ba-Ado-Mishram was split up and put into many gemstones.
They are black.
Yeah. Like,
Simple.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Because void light is red.
Void light's purple.
Their eyes glow red with void light.
They're corrupted, but then when they use their surge, they glow purple, well, violet.
Red. So it being void light, whether it's red or purple, it would still have that sort of hue to it.
Yes.
These are solidly black.
Yeah.
And the light bends around them, just like the light bends around the unmade.
Okay. Does the light bend around the unmade?
Whenever Shallan is trying to draw something, she knows an unmade is there because everything starts to bend.
Yes, they distort the world around them.
And the light bends around these spheres.
Yeah.
And therefore, the only logical thing to me is that it was an unmade sphere.
Yeah, like I said, I used to think that the black spheres were Ba-Ado-Mishram split up and put into mini spheres. I can't remember why I stopped believing that. So I'm just going to say, yes, I agree.
Cool.
That is absolutely something it could be.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I've got.
Yeah.
And then they move through to attack on the pillar room.
Oh, yes. They attack the pillar room and...
Well, they get to the pillar room.
They get to the pillar room. Well, the creepy Macaeum come out of the ground and, like... Apparently they have claws and they, like, slit people's throats with their claws.
It's their carapace.
Yeah.
It's, like, in the shape of, like, long, thin...
Yeah.
Scyther-type blades.
Yeah.
And so, like, they've trapped all of the people that are in the room either to the walls or to the ceilings.
Yes.
And the ones trapped to the floor, they slit the throats.
They slit their throats. And they
Effective.
They leave the scholars, I believe, because Raboniel wants the scholars.
The Ardents that were in the tower room, they've just straight up killed.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I think the ones in the library she keeps.
Yes, because you've got the pillar room, they kill everyone in the pillar room, and then they keep all the others that are in the atrium and the libraries.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Kaladin goes down to the pub with Teft and Relaine.
Yep.
Sorry, he goes down to the pub with Teft and they're having a few drinks. And then Relaine turns up and everyone's looking at him and he's like, what's a crab gonna do to get a beer around here? And like Teft gets a server over for him because they don't want to serve him because he's a crab person and therefore can't be trusted.
Yeah.
And they're sitting around having some drinks, having some lad time.
Yeah.
And then Teft clearly can't handle his drink because he passes out.
Oh, not just yet, though.
But at the same time that happened, unbeknownst to anybody in the tower, Raboniel finally finishes touching up the pillar.
Yeah.
And is corrupting it.
Yes, she's like filling it with void light.
And it works.
And she activates the defenses, but instead of against fused, it's against radiance.
It stops radiant abilities.
Yes, and it puts like a hard block on them because it doesn't just block their abilities; they pass out.
Well, it's because they can't access any stormlight anymore. So Teft passes out. Kaladin's like, "Whoa, has he had like a stroke or something?" Starts looking at him like a surgeon. And everyone else is like gathering around because they're like, what is going on here?
Is he okay?
And Relaine's like, mate, Edge Dancer healing tent is like a couple of doors down, let's go. So Kaladin lifts him up and he's like, wow, he's really heavy, let me lash him.
And he can't.
I can't lash him.
Yes.
What's going on here? Because he's feeling a bit weak, but he feels like something is wrong, but he can't work it out.
You can feel like a pressure on his mind, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is trying to call Syl. He can't get through to Syl.
Yeah.
He's like, she must be talking to her boyfriend or something.
Kaladin is Syl's boyfriend, goddammit.
Only in Shadesmar.
Only in Shadesmar. Brandon, why did you do this?
Brandon, why? It's because that's foreshadowing.
It's because that's where it's going.
Yeah, 100%. She is the only woman for him.
Yep.
So he carries Tef to the Edge Dancer tent, but they've had to try and get through this big crowd of people, get to the front, and an Edge Dancer is passed out.
Yeah.
Well, the Edge Dancers are all passed out, and the person in there's like, hey,
They just
drop to the ground, and they're completely unresponsive, and Kaladin's like, so you're useless?
It's like, well, this is really not good.
So then Relane's like, yo, aren't you and your dad surgeons?
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, yep, we'll take him all the way up to the sixth floor.
Yeah.
Let's not use the elevators if something's wrong with the tower, because, you know, that's not going to end well for anyone. So they then head up to the sixth floor. So they're heading up to the sixth floor. There's lots of like shouting, lots of people like crowding around. Kaladin can still use Stormlight, so he's using it to keep himself from getting exhausted.
Yeah.
Because he can use it inwardly, he can't use it outwardly.
Yes.
So he's using it to stop himself from tiring quickly. So he's moving much faster than Relane. So Relane's like, I'll just meet you up there.
Yes.
So he goes ahead, gets him into the room, and Liren's like, yeah, I've currently got like 5 of these.
Yeah, I've got stone word in there.
Yeah, all seems to be radiance, don't know what's going on. And then Relane comes up and he's like, yo, there's some like stone woods collapsed out in the hallway. What's going on here?
Yeah, there's something really bad's happening.
Yeah, and then Kaladin finally gets through to Syl.
Yes.
And she's like, I don't know what's going on. It feels heavy. I don't know.
No. Like, yeah.
And Kaladin's like, can you see Tef's spren?
Venderana. It was good getting that confirmed.
Because I have no idea where they are. And Syl's like, I can't see anything. I can't see other spren. I can't see anything.
I think he sends her to go find Yasna, and she's like, I can't go more than like 10 meters from you. I'm like stuck near you.
Well, Yasna's...
Not Yasna, Navani.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then his mum's like, yo, all the spam reads have stopped working.
Yeah.
The radiance has stopped working. Is this another desolation?
Yeah. Pretty much something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when he sees the outside.
Well, that's when he tries to send Syl to ask for help. And she's like, I can't leave you. And then that's when they see the fused flying in. And he's like, well... fuck. He's
like, this isn't a raid, and this is an invasion, because he just sees hundreds of Shanaim descending on the tower, and I'm like, I cannot imagine being Kaladin in the situation. You look up at those beautiful blue skies above Urithiru, and it's filled with hundreds of flying fused. That's terrifying.
Whilst all this is going on, Navani has finished investigating the explosion.
Yes.
Hears of like panic in the tower.
Yeah.
So she goes to find Darby, who is frantically pointing at like
the wall. Yeah.
Making the Bridge 4 logo. Like, I'm not bad guy.
Yeah.
Go and talk to Ruby, but he can't speak, so he's trying to frantically action it. So she sets up the spam read, and the spren is like, you idiot, why are you ignoring me? We're under attack, and then it just drops.
Yeah,
dead.
Well, it's like she's coming for me. I'm dying, and then it's like, oh no! And it reveals itself as the sibling at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It reveals that it's been talking to Darby. Dabbid. Via the walls for a while.
Yes.
Poor Dabbid.
Yeah.
Not even being able to talk about what on earth is happening to him during this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how would you even explain that? Oh, yeah, by the way, the walls are talking to me?
Well, he can't talk.
Yeah.
So how do you even action that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Navani then goes to put together her resistance team.
Yes.
So she sends messages to every single barracks in the tower to get the generals into this planning room that they use. Yeah. She finds out that there's no radiance left, so she's like, well, we're screwed.
Yep.
The tower spirit essentially tells her, if you give me all the stormlight, I have a defense mechanism that can fix this.
Yes.
So I automatically assumed it was a doomsday button, and if they gave it enough stormlight, the tower would just explode. And that was its defense mechanism. Because it actually doesn't explain like how it's going to help the tower.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, get me stormlight and I can do something to stop them from corrupting me further. And Navani's like, yeah, cool.
All right, I'll get you loads of stormlight. Like, you know.
So I just assumed that it was going to be like...
blow up the tower.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if it blew up the tower?
Well, all the important people have left.
Exactly.
And therefore, although it would be horrific, because, you know, literal millions of people at this point.
Yeah.
No one important.
Kaladin's in the tower.
I'm glad that Kaladin has finally, found some...
What's that?
So just before...
Yes, I was wondering if you were going to mention this.
So just before Teft passes out, Kaladin's like, wow, I finally feel...
like I'm getting my life together again.
Yeah, I'm finally feeling good for the first time in years. And then this goes down.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figured, you know, Kaladin's not really any use to them anymore.
Yeah.
They've already got all of the impressive stuff from Navani, and Yasna's way smarter than Navani is. So I'm
not going to disagree with that.
Yeah. So you could easily kill everyone in this tower and no one would bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Mean, we'd still be upset though that those people died, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, it was quite plausible that the tower could just blow itself up to kill all the fused and...
yeah, stop it falling into enemy hands.
The books would still go on.
Books would still go on. Dalinar will still be doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean...
Shallan will still be doing his thing.
I guess he might be upset that another one of his wives have died, but he hasn't had this one very long.
He's like, I didn't do this one this time.
It wasn't me!
It wasn't me!
So yeah, that was my...
Dalinar, your wife died. Oh no!
I've got an alibi!
I've got an alibi!
So yeah, that's where I thought this one was going.
Yes. So yeah, we I think at this point Kaladin kind of freezes up. He kind of gets Teft comfortable. He then decides he's going to go do something about the invasion and grabs a knife, but then completely freezes up and just sinks to the ground by the door. And then he's then awoken by Lirin being like, come on, son, give me the knife.
You're not allowed sharp things anymore.
Let's take the sharp thing from you and let's get you somewhere comfortable. Don't go out fighting, please.
Yeah. Fighting's not going to help us.
Fighting's not going to help us.
We'll just be their servants again.
Yeah, Lirin has an interesting philosophy, which works when you are being ruled by nice people.
Yeah.
And doesn't when you're not. And he's a very frustrating man, Lirin, and he's going to get worse before he gets better.
Oh, mate, he's not going to survive this.
Do you reckon? Yeah, no.
Kaladin's the only one with living parents. Let's change that.
Can't be having that.
No.
So yeah, we then get a cool couple of battles with Navani and her troops, laying ambushes for groups of Regals and Fused, being clever about it. We have that incredible last stand. I loved that last attack on the Pillar Room where they're going down the steps and they're describing how the Fused are trying to stab at them from the sky, but they keep grabbing their spears and pulling them down, and they can't do anything about it. They dump water down to stop the star-spren from shooting lightning at them, and then the Macaim start trying to grab them from the walls, but they adjust and start chopping at the arms, and I'm like, go guys, go! I'm like, go humans, go!
Considering this is the B team.
This is the B team.
They fight.
They left behind the troops that weren't the good troops. They left the standing guard of wounded soldiers, and I'm like, go guys! Oh,
they did good.
They did really well. I loved that scene. Shout out to the main man, Teofil of the day, because where's Teofil been this whole time?
Unimportant.
It wasn't. No, Teofil should have been leading the whole thing apparently the whole time.
Yeah, he's really good.
I'm a big fan. Brandon, good job there. So Dabid leads Navani and that group to the Fabrial. They just go through a door by infusing a gem in the wall. And we get a cool scene with the Thaylen merchants where they show off that if you have a tuning fork set to a certain tune, you can use it to move Stormlight from one gem to another.
The Rhythms of Roshar.
Yeah, the Rhythms of Roshar. And so I'm like, That's interesting. So yeah, I have thoughts on this, which I'm sure we'll get into in.
Parshendi trap their sprens.
Do you reckon how this? Like by like humming a certain song.
Yeah.
And like, okay.
And getting them into the gem that way.
Well, there was also this thing about using the the stormlight while playing drums. Grows plants quicker, and I'm like, interesting. Yeah. There seems to be a lot. Roshar's a lot more musical than we first thought.
Well, it's the rhythms of Roshar.
It's the rhythms of Roshar.
Everything native to Roshar can hear the rhythms
and lives by them. Yeah.
The humans are starting to discover the rhythms.
Yes.
It'll be interesting how much further that develops.
Yes, very much so.
Especially in Kaladin and Leshwi's half-human society, where they make their half-human crab babies.
Yes.
And Syl's like, that used to be me.
We then switch back to Venli and Raboniel for a little bit. We've got Sleepy Dog.
Yeah.
And then Raboniel talks about some like philosophical stuff. I really like Raboniel. Like, she is a really interesting villain.
Yeah.
We then have the Pursuer turn up, who is a less interesting villain, but still really cool.
He's tolerable.
Oh, do you not like him?
I find him really dull as a character.
I find
the
him...
whole...
Yeah.
I was killed, so now I need to make sure that anything that kills me, I kill.
Yeah.
Just find it really...
I mean, it's not the most interesting villain, but I find him really threatening. I find him very imposing presence.
I feel like he's here just to get Kaladin back to fighting. I feel like that's his one and only purpose in this whole book.
Yeah.
Like, I have a feeling that, like, Leshwi's going to come and defend Kaladin, and they're going to fight him together.
Okay.
And that's going to be when Leshwi, like, turns against the others.
Oh, yeah, you think Leshwi's going to turn against the others, don't you?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I think that she's going to stealth... Like, she's going to do what Venli's doing.
Yeah.
Where, like, she's going to work with the fused, but her end goal is to find peace.
Ooh, do you reckon Venli might recruit her?
I kind of think that she already is. I don't think that either of them have realised it yet, but they very much are.
Working to the same goal. Yeah. Interesting.
So,
yeah, I do think Leshwi's up to something because she's at that perfect position where she's got freedom but not too much responsibility. And they already had... Was it Raboniel and Venli, or Venli and Leshwi that had the conversation about what to do, like what will happen after?
Oh, that was Leshwi.
That was Leshwi, yeah. So, you know, Venli is like, you guys are doing this for us, right?
Yeah.
And Leshwi's like, yeah, totally. And then some of the other fused are like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During this invasion, Kaladin and R'lain are out on the back. Well, Syl sends Kaladin out to the balcony, and he's like, R'lain, I told you to hide, and R'lain's like, I can't. They're going to find me.
Yeah.
Eventually, because there's so many of them, they're going to take this tower.
Yeah.
They're going to find me, and they'll kill me for working against them.
Yeah.
My absolute only chance at survival is to go and join them.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I have no intentions of being part of them. Yeah. But it's my only way to survive.
Like, I have to surrender, not...
Or not surrender, but pretend that he's always been with them.
Yes, he was like, oh yeah, pretend I'm still spying for them, you know.
Well, no, just pretend that he's been with them for a while. They've just not noticed that he's been there. And
he's going to pretend to be a soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anyone finds him, he'll just pretend that he stopped spying and just joined a group of Parshmen, and he ended up just in their army. So that's his plan. And Kaladin's like, yeah, I don't like it either, but do what's going to keep you safest. Yeah. And R'lain's like, if I can spy on them in any way I can, I'll will.
Let you know and help out.
But this might be goodbye forever. And Kaladin's like, it sucks, but I hope we both make it out of this alive. And he's like, me too. Yeah. So then he leaves.
It was a very sad scene when R'lain leaves.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Cool. So they start filling the failsafe fabrial with Stormlight.
Yeah.
The sibling mentions that Melishi was the last bondsmith to be bonded with them, which is really cool to get because Melishi was the one involved in the trapping of Ba-Ado-Mishram.
Yeah.
So that was the bondsmith at the time during the Requiems. So Melishi, you messed up. You messed up big time. Like,
yeah.
So they activate the failsafe. It makes like a big shield around the pillar. I don't know what that shield is because
essentially nobody can get near the gem.
Essentially, no one can get near the gem heart.
It blocks Parshendi, it blocks radiance, it blocks everyone.
It sounds like it's a physical
it is.
shield. Yeah,
you can see it.
Yeah.
I have a theory, however.
Oh yeah.
So there is one person that is not a radiant. They are something completely unknown.
Renarin can't be the answer to every question.
No. Lift.
Oh, okay.
Because she doesn't... I think that she is going to be the only person that can get through the shield.
Okay.
Because she's not technically a radiant.
Yeah.
She's definitely not a void bringer.
Yeah.
So I think that she's going to be able to get through the shield, and she's going to be able to use her not Stormlight to infuse the pillar and bring it back under control.
Okay.
Because Lift
You think Lift is very different, don't you?
She's not a radiant.
She kind of is. She still swears oaths and gets more powers.
I know that.
Oaths. Yeah.
And she's got a spren. But she's not a radiant.
Yeah, she's something very different.
She is. She's like Renarin, where we don't know what to class her as yet.
Yeah.
Because, yes, she's an edge dancer.
Yeah.
But she's not a radiant.
She's like a radiant asterisk. Like, I would say she's definitely a radiant, but there's definitely something else on top of that.
I would class her as an edge dancer.
Okay.
I wouldn't class her as a radiant.
Interesting. That's an interesting distinction in your mind to have.
Because she can use edge dancer abilities.
Yeah.
But she can't use Sphere Stormlight.
Yeah.
She uses something that's not Stormlight. She uses food.
You don't think she's turning that food into Stormlight?
I don't think so. I think that's what logically it's been put down to.
Okay, interesting.
Like, I think that's how she's logicked it.
Yeah.
And I think Windle, only ever knowing Stormlight, has also logicked it as that.
Yeah.
I think that it's something completely different.
Interesting.
So I think that that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
So I think that she can probably get through to the tower.
Yeah.
And I think she and she alone.
Okay, cool.
That's my theory.
Interesting.
Because she, unlike the other Radiants, can still use her Stormlight.
Yeah. I kind of, piggybacking off that, because I hadn't thought of that kind of thing, I was going to go with the other direction, where someone who, we do have a Radiant in the tower other than Kaladin, who's still awake. Venli.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder if Venli might be the key to this, because she is a regal, so she has like Odium investiture, but she's also a radiant, so she's also got honors investiture.
But specifically,
yeah,
the shield stops void bringers and it stops radiance.
Okay.
It specifically stops those two types.
Oh, does it stop normal people?
I think it does.
Okay.
I think, like, that's the thing.
Yeah. The impression I got was that it's a physical shield and that will just block physical objects. So, but I like the lift theory is a theory.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that she's left behind.
She's left behind.
Well, all of the main players have gone off to war.
Yeah.
And despite being a really far along edge dancer, she's the only one left behind.
Oh, she's still in the tower?
Yes.
Of course she is.
So they must have left her behind for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think this is her reason.
Okay, interesting. So after the shield's erected, Nirvani then discovers that the human soldiers have failed, and so she has to surrender to Raboniel. And we get that little surrender scene, which I really liked. It firmly cemented Raboniel as a super interesting villain for me.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a cool detail from Venli that apparently Raboniel has her own rhythms just for her.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, I don't know what that means, but I'm really interested.
Yeah.
It reminds me about how the Nine had a language that Venli couldn't understand, and I wonder if it's...
Yeah.
I like learning more about fused society, and I'm loving Venli's chapters.
And they, when she surrenders, she's told that she can just be a scholar.
Yes, because Raboniel doesn't want the tower, she wants the Fabrials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Radiants.
And the Radiants. Oh yeah, she's asked for them to be rounded up and not killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Regals are now, because of this...
Yeah.
Going door to door to get all the fused and put them in a big old all the radiants and put them in a big old radiant pile. Like an Elantris.
I was going to say, like an Elantris.
Hope it ends well.
Oh, God.
Kaladin notices that Teft's eyes seem to be moving under his eyelids, because Teft is I think he's a third, isn't he?
Yeah, Teft's a third.
So he's only one order away from being able to sustain himself right now.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Because fourth order and above
will stay awake.
Yeah. They can, they can keep using Stormlight.
The way I kind of see it, is that there's kind of a block on Honor's Investiture up to a certain level, and as long as you have Honor's Investiture beyond that level, you're not blocked.
It's the two together.
The two together.
Honor and Cultivation.
Sorry, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The way I think I see it is that there's it blocks up to a certain level of Investiture, whether that's Odium, because they said unmade can get in the tower sometimes. Whether that's Odium, Honor, or Cultivation, it blocks up to a certain type of level of Investiture, and if you're above that level, you're generally okay. So Kaladin is very close to his fourth ideal. So he's just above the level, which is why he's still struggling to he's still feeling Teft is very close to that.
I was going to say, that's why he's awake, because he should be a fourth, but he didn't take the oath.
Yeah, he is on the precipice of the fourth.
If he had taken the oath, he'd still be able to use all of his powers.
Yes, I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant by that.
If he'd made that leap in power level, he could have done it.
Yeah.
And so I think Teft is very close to reaching fourth, which is why he's nearly awake.
Yeah, because, again, Lift is definitely at the same level as Kaladin.
Yeah, because she's level 3 as well, isn't she?
Yeah, but I think she's really close to fourth, which is why she can still use her abilities.
Yeah.
Well, she can't use the Edge Dancer ability, but she can heal.
Yeah. Is this from the Lift interlude?
Yes.
Okay.
I am sorry.
I was going to say, I don't remember this being in part 2.
No, it's only because I'm using her to explain a few things.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll talk about the interludes for part 2 in the part 3 video, because we did part 1 this video.
Yeah.
And then they're going door to door, and Kaladin, and they get to Lyrin's surgery.
Yeah.
And Lyrin, Kaladin hears the commotion, so he goes in and he's like, what's going on? And Lyrin is trying to stop them from taking the Radiance out of his care.
Yeah.
They get the stone ward out.
Yes.
And then Kaladin's like, put him down. Because they just picked up Teft. He's like, you put him down right now.
Oh my god. And then Lyrin pushes him into the hallway, and he has a moment of they're taking Teft. They are taking my man. And he's like, no. He just makes that snap decision. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And Kaladin then shows that he has Stormlight. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, that's the guy that...
That's the guy the pursuer's looking for.
We'll make a lot of money off this.
Oh, yeah.
And then they fight.
Yes.
And Kaladin, in the fight...
kills a storm form without
Well, the storm form makes a big old explosion. Yeah. Luckily, Lyrin's out the room, so he shouldn't have been affected by it too badly.
Yeah.
It deafens Kaladin until he draws in enough Stormlight to overcome that.
Because his healing's running slow.
Yeah. He ends up killing him.
Yeah.
And the other one in the room is in war form.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, you're not used to battle, are you? And he's like, no. And Kaladin's like, I'm not going to hurt you. You've done nothing wrong. Just leave me with my friend. And he's like, okay.
He's like, okay, bye.
So then Lyrin comes back in, and he's like, Kaladin.
You dare, you dare spill blood in my home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could slap Lyrin. Oh my god.
And Kaladin's like, I gotta protect people. And Lyrin's like, no, you have doomed us all. Yeah. They're gonna come back and kill us because of what you've done. This is your fault. Yeah. And Kaladin's like, no, I'm taking Teft. Get your things, come with me, we'll go somewhere safe. And he's like, we're not going anywhere with you.
Yeah, no. Oh my god. Lyrin was so... I completely understand his perspective. I do not agree with his perspective at all, but I understand it, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
This made me so angry at Lyrin.
It made me angry at everything in this situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just that ending of him he just slings Teft on his back and he just runs into the darkness.
Yeah.
And like, what a way to end the part.
End of part 2.
Oh my god. They took Urithiru in part 2. This is like when Odium turned up in the end of part 2. You're like, I didn't think this would happen this early. Like, I thought that would be like the climax of the book or something.
Well, the rest of the book is now the battle for Urithiru.
Yeah, like
again,
like Kaladin, like, I don't know, guerrilla warfaring his way through. He can still use adhesion, right? No, are you sure? I'm sure. He
he can still use adhesion. He can't use
gravitation.
Either way, tower no longer works.
Gravitation
Radiance
go
bye-bye.
Radiance go bye-bye. And oh my god, I want to know where this is going.
Don't we all?
Yeah, like
if part 3, I will be so mad if like they don't talk about Urithiru in part 3. If it's just like the Dalinar battle and a bit of Shadesmar, I'm going to be so angry.
Oh my god, no! I am fully expecting Urithiru to be the main part of this book.
It better be.
Yeah.
Because I need to know what happens.
Same. Like, I
need the baby to have a knife held to its throat.
I'm trying to think what theories I have going in.
What, to part 3?
Yeah.
I've got a lot of theories, but I don't know where in the book they're going to get sorted out.
Yeah.
Because obviously the whole dead eyes and all that stuff.
Yeah. So there's the dead eye stuff. We've talked about that. Do you think someone's going to bond the sibling by the end of this book? And who?
Darby.
You reckon David?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to go with Relaine.
It's been talking to him this whole time.
Yeah.
I assumed it was going to be him.
Fair enough.
Because obviously he seems quite innocent and he doesn't seem like he would do it any harm.
I think we're going to go one or two directions.
I'm also fine with it being Relaine.
I think it's going to be either Relaine or Navani. And I think what Brander's going to do is he's going to make us think it's one, but it's actually going to be the other. I don't know which one it's going to be, so I don't know which one Brandon's going to go for. But yeah.
It's furious about Navani's experimentation on Spren.
Yeah.
Why would it then want to bond with her?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we're going to spend the whole book with Navani being like, bond me. And then at the end of the book, it's actually Relaine.
No, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm fine with Relaine. I'm fine with Darby. I would not be fine with Navani.
Okay.
And I don't even want to consider it.
Wow, okay.
Like, it was so angry with her, it was sending her angry messages.
Look, if the internet has taught us anything, it's that the bar for sending angry messages is really low.
I know it's really low, but you don't go from actively wanting to send someone hate messages to being their best friend within a space of a book.
I mean, let's be fair, Dalinar and the Stormfather aren't exactly on best friend terms.
No, you know? But the Stormfather willingly bonded with him. Like, I don't see the Tower willingly choosing to bond with Navani.
Yeah.
Like, the Stormfather was fine with being brought into that.
Yeah.
I don't think the Tower would be.
Fair enough.
I would be well up for it being Relaine, though. Like, I think it would be quite nice to finally have some Parshendi fused amongst...
Parshendi Radiance, yeah.
Yeah. Because then it shows that, you know, we are trying to work together to form a cohesive people. Yeah. And maybe they'll be able to convince some of the Parshmen to come back and join them as equals, not as servants.
Yeah.
And make it quite clear that, look, some of our Radiants are Parshendi. Yeah. We have no interest in enslaving you anymore. We understand what's gone on. We're not stupid no more. Come and be our friends.
Yes. I think part of this for me as well is they always talk about how they don't want to bond humans because humans killed them before. Do you know who didn't kill them before? Parshendi. Like, so yeah, like it could be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you're worried a human's going to kill you, don't bond a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So yeah, I think the reason it's been talking to him along all this time is maybe potentially assessing the new humans.
Maybe. Cool. So I think we're done there. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week with part 3. You can follow us on 17thshard.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Join us on Discord so we can chat. We have a Patreon so you can give us money and you get these a little bit early. Cool. And yes, thank you very much. Bye.